KY3 News starts now.
Good evening. The Ozarks weather is about to get interesting. Snow for some tomorrow morning, rain for others. Futurecast radar showing the mess that will be moving in.
And we have a first alert for Thursday with more snow possible, plus some dangerous wind chills. Chief Meteorologist Ron Hurst joined us from the First Alert Center. Ron?
Yeah, thanks, guys. We are looking at a mess over the next couple of days here across the Ozarks. We're going to push that first alert up to Wednesday into Thursday morning for the potential of snow. Our southern counties may see enough rain. There may be some minor flooding. Impacts from all of this, not super great, so we're going to put them into the moderate to low category right now. Let's start off with this chance for snow. Most of it is going to fall through the day on Wednesday into Wednesday night. Initially, it's going to be in these far northwestern counties, which could eventually total 2 to 4 inches of snow. But then Wednesday night and Thursday morning, the snow will begin to sweep to the east, generally along and north of Highway 60, and that's when the rest of us could pick up a trace to 1 inch of snow. The model that's been doing the best lately with snow says that we could get just under an inch here in Springfield. Let's go ahead and get a look at Futurecast. As we go through the night, the cloud cover will continue to thicken and lower, and look for rain to start to move in sometime around 3 o'clock in the morning, and certainly by the morning commute, we'll be looking at moderate to heavy rain. But at the same time, notice how we get that snow across these far northwestern counties. It stays there for much of the day. Then late at night, notice how it then starts to sweep onto the east, and that's when we'll lay down our snow here in Springfield before it eventually comes to an end. Temperature-wise, we find ourselves in the mid-30s, and we are just going to drop down there and stay there all night long. Guys?
Breaking news in East Springfield now. A bad crash between Springfield and Stratford.
Robert Hahn is along Highway 00 with what we know so far. Robert?
Yeah, we don't know a whole lot so far. What we do know is that at least 3 cars are involved, one of those being a red SUV, and that SUV has been cut into 2 pieces. One part laying off the road about 40 to 50 feet away from the rest of it. At this point, I understand one person was ejected in this crash and was taken from the scene. Stratford Fire, Fairgrove Police, and the Missouri Highway Patrol are all on the scene here. It's still a very active scene. There may be a 4th vehicle up the road that may also have been involved in this crash. At this point, that's all we know. We'll continue to update things as we can. Again, we've got Stratford Fire, Fairgrove Police, Highway Patrol all on this scene, and we'll continue to update this as we head through the rest of the evening. We get more information, we'll pass that along to you. Live here just west of Stratford, I'm Robert Hahn.
Police in Camdenton say an armed robber shot himself when officers tried to arrest him, and that man is hospitalized in critical condition tonight. Andrew Hufranek joins us live from Camdenton with how police tracked him down. Andrew?
Steve, this all started here at the Gerb's supermarket on Highway 54 on Sunday. Police were called to the supermarket when they were told a man who we now know as Clayton Phillips had jumped to the pharmacy counter, pulled out a gun, and stole hundreds of prescription pills. This is the video that police posted on their Facebook page Sunday night. They were asking for the community's help in finding Phillips. Several tips came in, and Camdenton police got a search warrant for his home in Max Creek last night. Chief Laura Wright says when police and the SWAT team got on scene around 10 o'clock, one person came out of the house, but Phillips barricaded himself inside. Police then heard a single gunshot. Phillips was found shot in the head. Medics took him to Lake Regional Hospital, but as of this afternoon, police say he's at the University of Missouri Hospital in Columbia in critical condition. Chief Wright says this is another sad opioid-related incident.
I don't know that our community really realizes the vast impact it has on our community. It literally touches every part of our community. This appears to be yet one more tragic event related to that epidemic. And I would ask our community to be understanding in this situation. Regardless of his actions, our compassion needs to go out to the family in this difficult time.
Again, police say Clayton Phillips is in critical condition at the University of Missouri Hospital in Columbia. The investigation is still ongoing. Reporting live tonight in Camdenton, Andrew Havranek, KY3 News.
There are now more than 2,200 flu cases in Greene County, with nearly 670 new cases last week. You can see the spike there on the health department's website. Nikki Ogle's live at the health department in downtown Springfield with what that means and how to protect yourself.
Yeah, just 3 weeks ago, the Springfield Greene County Health Department counted about 300 cases of the flu. 2 weeks ago, that number skyrocketed to about 670. We're still hovering around that number, but officials here say that's just the tip of the iceberg. Kendra Finley is an administrator with the Springfield Health Department. She says the number of flu cases only includes the people that went to the hospital and got diagnosed from a doctor. She says many folks stay at home and deal with the disease there. Finley says last year the flu numbers peaked in mid-February at about 740 cases, but there's no way to know if we're close to this year's high mark. She says the flu is simply unpredictable, and the best way to protect yourself, wash your hands with soap and water. Finley says it's not too late to get your flu shot. She says she's going to continue to monitor the numbers for a potential peak this month, but says the flu season can last well into March. Live in Springfield, I'm Nikki Ogle.
A Greene County man is jailed tonight accused of sexually abusing a child under 12. 29-year-old John Huff faces 3 counts of statutory rape. Court documents say a woman caught Huff with the girl at a house outside Springfield over the weekend. The child later told investigators the abuse had been going on several years. Hundreds of people were behind bars today in Douglas County for the grand opening of the new jail. The Ava community got a look inside. This one has 48 beds compared to just 21 in the old jail. Built in 1960, voters passed a half-cent sales tax in 2016 to get construction started. The $6 million facility is safer for inmates and jailers with new technology to access cells from behind a computer. The inmates move in just 2 weeks. The sheriff is also hiring more jailers, and soon most school security cameras in Douglas County will be monitored from inside the sheriff's office.
91-year-old Walter Dixon was laid to rest today in Waynesville. But this wasn't the first time the veteran of 3 wars had died. Joe Hickman has his incredible story.
Walter Barton Dixon got full military honors today on the occasion of his second death. This great American hero joined the Army when he was 16 years old and served in 3 wars, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, earning 7 Purple Hearts and a host of other honors. But it was in Korea in 1951 that his life changed forever when he was wounded during a bombing attack. Dixon, though, was more concerned about others, wrapping his jacket around another severely wounded soldier, which turned out to be a fateful decision.
His field jacket with his name on it and the letters to his wife in the pocket that ended up being with the deceased soldier, which is the reason he was identified as a killed-in-action soldier.
Yes, that case of mistaken identity resulted in Walter being declared dead, and this death notice, signed by President Truman, being sent to his family. In reality, though, Walter was alive, spending 28 months as a prisoner of war in Korea, then returning home to the surprise of everyone, including his wife, who had remarried by that time.
He told me it was quite simple. We had 1 wife and 2 husbands. There was nothing to do but move on.
So Walter Dixon did move on, marrying the woman who had written his obituary for the local paper. They had 3 children and were married for 61 years. It was that indomitable spirit that kept Walter going for 91 years and 2 deaths.
He was a soldier's soldier.
It just goes back to what the American fighting spirit is and actually what we fight for.
I think the only reason he passed is because he was ready to go. He was always a fighter, and I think he was ready to go see my mom.
To a life well lived. Twice. Reporting from Waynesville, I'm Joe Hickman.
Wow, what a story.
Next, why the state is suing a Springfield company that claims it can get people out of their timeshares fast.
Also, perhaps you noticed this last time you put something in your grocery cart. Food labels have changed. On Your Side explains the 4 things that could affect your waistline.
Number 1 in the Ozarks. You're watching KY3 News at 6 with Lisa Rose, Steve Grant, Ashley Reynolds with On Your Side, First Alert weather meteorologist Ron Hurst, and sports with Chad Klein. The place to be, on air, online, on the go.
Missouri is suing a Springfield company that promised to help people get out of their timeshare contracts. The state's attorney general says Martin Management and owner Steve Martin took money from people promising to release them from their timeshare obligations within 6 months. Instead, that lawsuit says the company asked for even more money and customers stayed trapped with the contracts they did not want. The Attorney General's office wants to hear from people who were ripped off by that company.
Attention all shoppers. This year, food labels got a makeover. It's the first time in more than 20 years. Ashley Reynolds has the 4 big changes.
The nutrition labels on our food will make it easier for us to make more informed choices in our diet.
With some simple changes such as bolder type and the adjustment of serving sizes, it's going to be a lot easier for consumers who want to eat healthier to lower their risk for heart disease and other conditions.
Here are 4 important changes that will help you pick the best foods for your health. First, the serving sizes are more realistic, with amounts for some foods reflecting what people really eat. Another example, if a package holds 2 or 3 servings, but there's a good chance you'd eat it in one setting, say a bag of popcorn, the label must show nutrition info for 1 serving and the whole package. Another label change, since Americans don't get enough vitamin D, which is important for bone health, and potassium, which helps lower blood pressure, they're now listed instead of vitamin A and C, which are already plentiful in most people's diet. The calorie count will be featured in big bold type. If you consume more calories than your body needs, those extra calories are stored as fat. But keep in mind, those calorie counts don't tell the whole story. A 250-calorie candy bar that contains nuts is not as healthful, for example, as 250 calories worth of nuts. While there has always been a line for sugars, it's referred to both naturally occurring sweeteners plus the ones added in. The FDA now requires that added sugars be included on a separate line.
Now that it's featured, manufacturers may have more of an incentive to reduce the amount of added sugar in their products.
It's now easier to judge a food by its label.
And the experts at Consumer Reports add sugar substitutes go by a lot of different names, like stevia or sugar alcoholics. Well, now that manufacturers have an incentive to lower the sugar they add, you might start to see more of these sweeteners pop up on the ingredients list. Lisa?
Well, that's going to be interesting, very helpful, too. Thanks, Ashley. All kinds of weather rolling in. Snow to our north in the morning, rain over the rest of the Ozarks.
And then dangerous wind chills near 0 Thursday morning, but a big warm-up over the weekend.
And now, KY3 First Alert Weather.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's another messy scenario for the Ozarks, and depending on where you live, you can have all kinds of different weather. All right, let's get a look at the snowfall first. That's what everybody wants to know. Again, much of this is going to fall Wednesday and Wednesday night. The main area is going to be way up here to the north and to the west, although we're going to give ourselves some wiggle room and kind of spread it down towards Stockton, much of Hickory County, Camden County as well, and we're going to take it over into Marys County, including Vichy and maybe right around Dixon. South of that, we're thinking a trace to 1 inch of snow, and again, it's going to come in a couple of different waves. So let's go ahead and get a look at Futurecast. Now, a lot of this that you see in here, this is kind of like Virga that the model is painting in there. The real rain, I don't think is going to show up down here in Arkansas until about 3 o'clock in the morning. That's going to continue to spread to the north. So by the time we get to our morning commute, I think much of southern Missouri and here on up into here and south into Arkansas will have a decent amount of rain. So it's going to be wet for the early morning Wednesday commute. That rain's just going to continue to spread to the north and to the east. Notice by 10 o'clock in the morning, here's some of that snow that we're talking about across our far northwestern counties out in here, and that snow also may be coming down at a pretty good clip. Now, the problem with this, trying to add this up, is I think the air temperature up here is also going to be about 32, 33, or 34, so the snow is going to melt as it comes down. Ground temperatures are warm, and it's during the day, so this initial snow may not add up too quick unless it's coming down at a pretty good clip. As we get into the afternoon, we'll see some moderate to heavy rains from West Plains south into northern Arkansas, later showers elsewhere with maybe still some snow in those northwestern counties. But once we get into the late afternoon, we'll start to see more showery activity. As far as rain goes, out to the northwest, we'll still have some snow. And then once the sun sets at 6 o'clock, this is when I think the snow really starts to pile up in these northwestern counties. And this will also start to pivot onto the south and to the east, so that by about 9 o'clock, we may be getting some snow in Springfield tomorrow evening, while the rain lets up across the rest of our viewing area. Now, once we get into the early morning hours of Thursday, this will reduce itself to just flurries as the main storm system pulls off to the north and east, and then we get some clearing on Thursday. Right now, there is a winter weather advisory posted for these counties, including the Camden County area, Lake of the Ozarks, Palm de Terre Lake, and Truman Lake areas up to the north and west, including Vernon County and Nevada, and that will be through the day on Wednesday. Already, we're seeing lots of rain down to the south, and notice how this in Oklahoma is starting to track a little bit farther to the north and east. Now, as far as rainfall goes, I'm not too concerned about much of us, but down to the south and here, I think we we could see some heavier amounts of rain. If we start to approach 1 inch, that could create some flooding issues in some of those rural low water crossings. So you'll have to be careful through the course of the day and watch for that. As far as futurecast temperatures, this is going to be very interesting. Tonight, we'll settle into the low to mid 30s, not only in southwest Missouri and northern Arkansas. Do not expect a lot of warming tomorrow. I think temperatures will stay in the upper 30s to nearly 40 just about everywhere because that rain is going to keep us cool. But what I want to show you is Thursday, because some cold air is going to come plunging into the Ozarks, and by Thursday morning, we may be looking at temperatures in the mid to upper teens across the area. And watch how we do not warm up on Thursday. High temperatures anywhere from the upper teens to the mid 20s across the area. And that's just the air temperature. That's not factoring in the wind chill. The wind chills Thursday at lunchtime. So this is noon on Thursday. We're talking lower single digits and teens across the area as winter makes a brief comeback. So as we get a look at Valentine's Day real quickly, we're going to lower the temperatures. The weather should still be nice, but you're going to need a jacket because we're going to drop through the 30s as the winds pick up. So tonight, we're looking at that rain developing by morning, temperatures of 33 to 34. Then for tomorrow, we stay in the upper 30s to nearly 40 with rain all day long as winds swing around to the north and west. And in our 7-day forecast, it comes to an end on Thursday with some sunshine. Valentine's Day looks good. We're in the 50s over the weekend, and then rain returns to the Ozarks next week. Guys?
Those Lady Panthers still #1. We'll tell you which team they need to look out for.
Also, one Bears senior making the most of his opportunity. Hear how Ross Owens has seized his spot in the starting lineup.
Sports with Mark Spillane starts now.
Good evening, everybody. Just 6 games remain for Missouri State basketball before the Valley tournament begins. The Bears return home to host Drake tomorrow night. Head coach Dana Ford says we'll see a similar starting lineup to the last 2 games, which has featured senior Ross Owens. The 2 starts were the first of Owens' career. He's tallied 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in those 2 games. Ford says Owens is the kind of player you want in your lineup.
Anytime you have a guy like Ross, you're happy to see him have some success, but I think Ross is really focused on trying to help us win, as opposed to, the beautiful thing about Ross is if I decided not to play him at all tomorrow, he would still be the same Ross. And, you can't always say that about everybody on your team.
When it comes to national respect, the Lady Bears have earned more from the coaches than the Associated Press voters. Missouri State moves up 2 spots to number 17 in the latest national coaches rankings. The movement comes 1 day after the Lady Bears remained at 24 in the AP poll. In Division II, the Drury Lady Panthers remain the nation's top team for a 12th straight week. Still, Lady Panther fans may want to keep an eye on those rankings. Second-ranked Ashland has picked up 2 more first-place votes after beating Grand Valley State for a second time this season. Grand Valley is now ranked 6th with its only 2 losses coming from Ashland. Like Drury, Ashland plays in the Midwest Regional, but only one of those teams can host. The very first regional rankings come out next week. Right now on OzarkSportsZone.com, we've got a jam-packed photo gallery section. We've got photos on here from Marshfield, from Kabul, and from Walnut Grove, just to name a few from last night. The Ozone will have somebody at 10 different locations tonight, so plenty more coming. Check back tonight or tomorrow for those on the Ozone. And Arkansas already underway at Tennessee. The Hogs in their 3rd game without guard Isaiah Joe, who underwent knee surgery last week. Arkansas striking first. Desi Sills knocks one down from long range. Sills averaging nearly 10 points per game. A few plays later, Reggie Chaney underneath, putting in the layup. The sophomore with 17 points in his last game. At last check, Tennessee leads this one by the score of 10-6. Mizzou also in action tonight at LSU at 8. The Blues take on the Ducks at 9 o'clock, and a couple big high school basketball games. Those highlights tonight on our late shows.
Okay, thanks, Mark. We're on updates. Some big weather changes coming up.
Tonight on our news at 9 and 10, retired teachers jump in to help struggling students improve their grades.
And we have new details in a lawsuit against the drivers of a semi and a van involved in a crash along I-44 last year that killed 3 children. Join us tonight at 9 and 10.
All right, watch this. An old water tower came tumbling down today in Ozark. The Ozark Fire Protection District put up this video on its Facebook page.
Wow, there she goes.
Wow.
That's something. Firefighters helping the city demolish the water tower just off Highway 65, which was empty and no longer in use. A second decommissioned water tower will be brought down later this year.
All right, here's 30 seconds of what's to come.
Yeah, it looks like it was going to catch those power lines, that video. 2 to 4 inches of snow across those northern counties. Again, that'll accumulate tomorrow into Thursday morning, and then a trace to 1 inch, generally along and north of Highway 60. Rain is going to begin very early in the morning, probably sometime for the early morning drive time, and will last much of the day. At times, that rain could get moderate to heavy, and you see that rain or that snow in those northwest counties.
We thank you for watching KY3 News at 6.